in this. Zoos, Pro or Con, written by Kira Fred. A message from the Terry Shore, editor of the Springfield Daily Star. Many of you read last week that one of our wealthiest residents donated a large sum of money to the local zoo. This money will allow the zoo to grow into one of the leading wildlife conservation centers in America. But news of the funding has sparked a heated debate in our community. Many citizens wrote letters to the newspaper to tell us how they felt about the zoo's expansion. Some of you support the growth of the zoo, while others of you argue that zoos are cruel, outdated institutions that should be closed. Many people in the middle like some things about zoos but also recognize that even the best zoos can even have some problems. To encourage further discussion on the topic, we are printing a small selection of the readers' letters that express many of the pros and cons of zoos. The letters contain both facts and opinions about zoos that may help people decide what is best for our city and what the future should be for the animals that live at our zoo. This penguin might have more room to swim and play if its zoo was expanded. Pro, in support of zoos, responsibility to our fellow creatures, a letter from Suzanne McCoy, wildlife biologist. I enthusiastically support the expansion of the Springfield Zoo. In recent decades, people have become more aware of the dangers facing Earth's environment. People are changing the natural world in ways that threaten many animal species. Many kinds of animals that have lived in balance on our planet for millions of years are now in danger of becoming extinct. It is up to us to fix the problems we have caused by cleaning up the environment, shifting to greener lifestyles, and making every effort to save species whose lives are threatened by our activities. As people use more wild land for gathering resources and for farming, the natural habitats of animals are broken into smaller, disconnected areas. This process separates animals from others of the kind and makes it more difficult for them to find mates. My hopes is that the Springfield Zoo will join efforts to breed endangered animals. Without zoos, these animals would run the risk of dying out completely in a short time. Zoo professionals work very hard to help these species survive. In some cases, they are even able to return animals born in zoos to the wild. Many zoos work closely with individuals and organizations in the animals' native regions to establish wildlife refuges. They also help educate local people about farming methods that are less damaging to the environment. Some zoos also conduct programs that support keeping wild animals in their native habitats so they don't need to be moved to the refuges. What kind of world do we want to leave to our children and grandchildren? If we want our descendants to experience the incredible variety of beauty or nature, we will need to work to preserve wild animals. The expansion of the Springfield Zoo will allow our community to take a more active role in spreading the message of conservation. It will also allow our zoo to join efforts to save many species from extinction. Zoos provide priceless education. A letter from Roy Jen, retired teacher. Zoos are important centers of education. Zoos give millions of people the chance to see and appreciate wildlife firsthand. Visitors leave with a greater understanding of the variety of life on Earth, as well as a sense of responsibility as stewards of the environment. So here stewards means a person who is responsible for looking out for the welfare of someone or something, a guardian or a caretaker of the environment. In 2007, the Association of Zoos and Aquariums, AZA, published the results of a 3-year study titled Why Zoos and Aquariums Matter. This study showed that visiting an AZA accredited Let me check the pronunciation.
AZA accredited.
Wait, what?
AZA accredited.
Accredited. The definition means, having been approved for meeting a set of standards. When an institution is accredited, it is given approval for meeting a set of standards. Zoo or aquarium makes a real difference in the conservation attitudes of visitors. Viewing wildlife face to face in these settings caused more than half of survey visitors to want to become more involved in the conservation efforts. More than half also report that their visit gave them a greater sense of connection to nature. Research has shown that young people need to spend time in nature to develop a sense of values about the environment. Visiting a zoo or aquarium might be the best chance for city dwellers to learn about life outside the world or concrete and steel. While books and online sources can provide children with facts about animals, there is no substitute for direct experience with the natural world. As young people learn about the natural world, they understand and respect how a change in a single element has consequences throughout an ecosystem, and how a change in a single ecosystem has consequences for the entire planet. Our planet is in trouble, and we need every one of its citizens to feel a sense of personal responsibility for the well-being of all life forms. Zoos play an important part in helping people develop that sense of responsibility toward the natural world. Think about it. More people in North America visit zoos each year than attend all professional sporting events. What does that say about the responsibility of educating the public about conservation? So, I think that by visiting zoos, that will raise people's awareness about the importance of the natural beauty about the animals, and so people will more engaged in conserving these animal species, and they will realize how important it is to our ecosystem, to our environment, and to our education too. So that would definitely important if children can immerse themselves in the nature, especially by visiting the zoos, uh, and to see the animals in reality, not through movies, not through online or magazines. So experience is really important. Con. Arguments against zoos. Zoos send a wrong message. A letter from from Zoe's John Gales, animal rights activist. As I follow local discussions on the zoo expansion project, I've become increasingly upset. People have no right to capture wild animals or to lock them in cages. Wild animals have as much right to freedom as humans do. Zoos send a message to the public that keeping wild animals for our own entertainment is acceptable. This sometimes leads people to think that they can keep exotic animals as pets, even though they lack the training and facilities to care for the animals properly.
Exotic.
Exotic means different because of a mysterious or unusual quality from another country or a faraway place. Okay. The conditions in which some zoo animals live are a serious problem. As private businesses, zoos are under pressure to make a profit. As a result, some zoos attempt to reduce their expenses by cutting corners and not giving animals the proper care. The 2007 escape of a Siberian tiger from its enclosure at the San Francisco Zoo is a case in point. The tiger, likely teased by visitors, climbed a wall, killed one person, and injured two others before being shot. The wall climbed by the tiger was 4 feet lower than recommended standards, and some workers at the zoo were slow to respond to the emergency. A tiger and a zoo visitor both lost their lives because the zoo did not follow industry guidelines to ensure the safety of both its animals and visitors. But the point here is that because the visitors teased the tiger, so the result either visitor's death. If it hadn't been for the visitor's bad behavior, the tiger would not have reacted that way. So the most I think the most person to blame here is the visitors who are behaving so badly, like teasing the tigers, the animals here, and resulting in the tiger's anger, and well, it just causing that event. So I know, but I'm in favor of opening the zoos because well, I agree that some zoos has really bad facilities and conditions. that is not probably for tigers or for another animals, but zoos can keep animals from becoming extinct, from becoming a wild nature, because human will eventually hunt all these animals for different purposes, maybe for food, for clothes, or for agriculture. I don't know, but if you just put the animals in the wild, in the habitat, then their danger of becoming completely extinct and disappear is really high. So by keeping the animals in a zoo, you can reduce the risk of the animals become of the animals extinction. Even when zookeepers want to help, animals can suffer when they are not free. A long-term study of bears and big cats found that these animals are among the most affected by captivity in the wild. They roam over such large distances that living in small spaces causes them great stress. When kept in zoos, they develop many unnatural behaviors, including pacing, swaying, rolling the head, and walking in tight circles. Similar repetitive movements have been observed in mentally ill people. Some zoo animals have such serious behavioral problems that they must regularly be given drugs to keep them calm. The focus of some zoos is on entertaining people, not on meeting the full range of needs of the animals. The lifespans of some captive wild animals are shortened, and many of them develop long-term health problems. For example, captive elephants suffer from a variety of physical conditions such as arthritis and food diseases, as well as psychological problems. A zoo worker inspects an elephant food for signs of disease. Think about it. A British study found that enclosures in UK safari parks and zoos are, on average, 100 times smaller than the animals' minimum home ranges in the wild. Another study of zoos worldwide revealed that polar bears have 1 million times less space in captivity than in the wild. Herd animals that live in large groups in the wild often kept alone or with just one another member of the species in zoos, and they often lack the exercise needed to keep their bodies healthy. Birds' wings are clipped to prevent them from flying. Aquatic animals have access to a much smaller amount of water than they need. Zoos claim to educate the public, but most visitors spend just a few minutes at each exhibit and tend to view the animals as entertainment. A curator at the National Zoo observed the habits of more than 700 zoo visitors and concluded that officials should stop kidding themselves about the tremendous educational value of showing an animal behind a glass wall. Let me check.
Curator.
Curator. A person in charge of an exhibit. The only way to learn about an animal probably is to view it in its natural habitat. Captured in Aliens, a letter from Tamara Green, concerned citizens. Imagine that you are going about your daily life when a spaceship lands nearby and aggressive aliens with advanced weapons tranquilize you. Tranquilize means to give a person or another animal a drug to make him or her calm.
Tranquilize.
Tranquilize. They shove you in a tiny metal crate and transport you back to their home planet. You are permanently separated from your own neighborhood, parents, and friends. During a long trip, you are not allowed to move around, and your request to stretch your legs are ignored. The aliens don't understand a word of your language, and even if they did, they wouldn't be concerned about your needs or desires, only about the wish to have a human for their collection. When the spaceship lands on the planet, you are placed in a small, bare cage with a bed, a chair, 2 books, and a large painting of a television on the back wall. Your captors want visitors to the zoo to be able to imagine your natural environment. You're fed meatloaf and carrots once a day. How would you feel this happened to you? It's no different for the animals we capture and force to live in zoos. From the editor. Now that you've read a selection of readers' opinions, both pro and con, what do you think about zoos? Well, in my opinion, I think zoos, to some extent, is kind of educational area for people to broaden their horizon about their natural beauty, about the animals, and most importantly, to experience themselves to see the animals in reality. But well, I still agree that some animals are mistreated in that zoos. Maybe they have the bad conditions, the bad living conditions, or not treated properly, or the food is unsuitable or inappropriate, something like that. So there are some problems. Zoos are a complex, controversial topic, and the disagreements about them are not likely to be resolved in the near future. It could be argued that each zoo must be considered individually, since a small privately owned roadside zoo is quite a bit different from a large city zoo with naturalistic enclosures, captive breeding programs, and expert biologists. As you give further thought to zoos, consider the possibility that they might not be able to be labeled as simply good or bad. We invite you to make a list of the goals that you believe every zoo should focus on. Think about how current problems may help zoo professionals learn how from mistakes and either improve today's zoos or create better types of zoos in the future. What do you think are the most important issues for zoos to address?
Good job.
Let's do the quiz.
You passed. Now,
Click on the items with the red.
Oh yeah. Don't stop now.
Click on the items with the red.
You're amazing. A perfect score.